Hi, I'm Rick Harsh, writer of the novel Skulls of Istria, which is what I call a tavern confession novel. I just read another one of those today. Uh, this one, The Last Wolf by Laszlo Krasznahorkai. Now, you could quibble a little bit about this tavern confession novel title, but and you should, because this isn't really a tavern confession novel. It's just a tavern talk novel. The most famous one is The Fall, but of the well written ones, The Fall is the worst. Very awkward. Camus with his telling the story one guy tells a story to another guy. I think it's in Amsterdam. I don't know. I just remember that it was so awkward the way that they would do the transitions. Hello again, my friend. I see you are here again. I must continue my story. Um, a good, a proper tavern novel takes place in one sitting, and the very best examples until relatively recently were those of Joseph Conrad, even though they didn't necessarily take place in a tavern. You know, what was his name? Melville? No, Marlowe. He sets the scene, and they're sitting on they're not going anywhere because of the fog. And slowly, Marlowe lit his pipe. We knew he was starting to tell a story. Half of us went to bed thinking not another one of these fucking stories. But those who stayed got two of the best novels ever written. And this one actually works almost in real time, and that's oh shit, there goes the 62. Well, the other one is Lord Jim, which really could not have been told in that period of time, but you don't care. You suspend your disbelief and you just figure, well, they were all hopped up on speed and stayed up all night. Yeah, no, go on. Hey, I can't sleep anyway. Heart of Darkness, of course, is the other one. That one maybe could be told in that amount of time. Then came Antonio Lobo Antunes with what was called South of Nowhere, because the English dilettantes did not want to publish something called The Ass of Judas, or Behind Judas's Ass. I think that might be what it is, but that's the literal translation, which is South of Nowhere. But in a colloquial way that's easily translated and then explained in a footnote. So, fuck off, you assholes who translate it like this. Then there's My Skulls of Istria, which has been well regarded, and I put it right here. Where a man is in a tavern just down the coast from where I am right now. He's in Piran and telling a story. He's a defrocked historian, and tells the story of his feckless attempts at living a political life, and his failures as a historian, and the way he's overcome by the hopelessness of everything, and that's where it really ties into the Last Wolf. But in his case, he does get a chance to act, and he fucks it up, and or it is fucked up. He's a fool and made a fool of. But there's a cool scene in a little bit of a foibe, which is in this case a hole in the ground in the karst region, where he finds a bunch of skulls from probably 500 years ago, and he's trapped down there with them for a short time. But this one, the one I just read, Krasznahorkai, is a story that basically starts out with the hopelessness. It's a philosopher speaking. Not a very well known one, not one of the best, but he's had some books put out, some translated into Spanish. And somehow he's called upon to go to Spain and write about the Extremadura region, which is a barren, poverty ridden place in the northwest of Spain. And somehow he ends up recalling something he read about the last wolf of Extremadura, and he's talking to in my book. I'd written before this, by the way. Yeah, my guy talks to a drunk who doesn't know any English, and my guy's from the United States, and he's telling his story to this guy who's listening, more than willing to listen, because this guy's buying him some nice Villamoca. And, who wouldn't sit with some asshole talking any language if you got some nice Villamoca in a tavern by the sea when the buria or the bora is blowing, and, you have that atmosphere. In this case, the atmosphere is a little more run down, and the guy is just at a bar talking to a barman who's listening to him in the mornings because nobody else is there, and the rest of the day he's half listening or not listening. He's doing other things, and once in a while he responds, and but he's not really having a conversation. This guy's just telling his story, and the other guy's just occasionally going, what, finca, what's a finca? And he seems upset by the word finca. It's a Hungarian bartender, which reminds me then of the young writer João Reis, who now in two novels of his that I've read, when the Portuguese come up in the novel, it's always, like fucking Portuguese, But this guy, he's a Hungarian bartender. He's irritable. He's in Germany, in Berlin, but in a seedy part of Berlin. But he would like to talk to a good-looking chick or another Eastern European. But if all he's got is his fucking German, okay, I'll listen. But he really doesn't like the word finca, and that kind of detail is just that you got a writer when something like that it really has nothing to do with the story at all. It becomes one of the memorable moments. And so this guy, he starts out talking to the bartender, and he's talking about his own existential plight. He's decided that thought is useless. Writing is therefore useless, and the problem is you can't stop thinking. And it's sort of a suggestion in the novel of the last word. He's looking for that last word. And so the story of the last wolf of this region of Spain strikes him because he's taken an invitation to go write something interesting and positive about Extremadura. But the one thing that he thinks about is this wolf, and he doesn't really want to do this thing. He can't do it. He can't think. He can't write because he can't think. And but he doesn't know how to tell anybody that, and the price was good. So he went, but he kept wanting to tell them the truth, which was that he can't really do this. And of course, he does do it because we have it here, but he only does it in the bar that he goes to regularly, where it's just he goes because it's something to do, and he goes and spills his guts about this boring shit about philosophy and the last word, but he's got but the accidentally or oddly this trip he's on becomes an extremely compelling story about the last wolf. You think of it, and I thought of the same thing this guy did. Well, how do they know it's the last wolf? And as it turns out, the last wolf wasn't really the last wolf, and there's a whole story about the last wolves of Extremadura, and it becomes a very, in a way, ordinary story, delivered in an odd and extraordinary way, and I suppose, you know the it's the kind of story that, because it's told the way it is, and I think maybe one of the reasons that these novels can be so effective is they're compressed. You could imagine a 500-page novel that tells this same story, and that would be great, but that's not what he's doing. It's compressed and all the more suggestive and powerful. But there's no way that you can read this and, not think of the last wolf and the last philosopher, the last human, the last, the futility. The Well, he finds malice in, we all know about the futility of existence. We know that, but he finds some malice in that as well. And the wolf is a good symbol for that, because although people who love wolves, they say, they're just fucking hunting, group hunters, making a living, but there's something always, always menacing about the wolves. Probably, I don't know. There's especially now, if now we have dogs have been tamed forever, but now you walk around Isola, and of course there are at least two grooming shops here, and you get some pretty poodles that probably the bartender would talk to. Like, you may not be a nice chick, but you're a dog with a fantastic hairdo. Are you some kind of poodle? You see some really strange things. Thorstein Veblen, when he was talking about conspicuous consumption, talked about the way people treat their dogs and why. Dogs don't sass you. You can control your dogs. They do what you tell them, and it's very funny. Read your Thorstein Veblen. But the wolf, he's a lot like your dog. Your dog is a wolf. Your wolf is a dog. But the wolf is not tame. And the wolf, if you're in the right circumstance, in the right place, like out in the wilderness in Alaska and lost, you could get wolfed down by a pack of wolves. They work well together, and they're so clever. I see it in my own dog, when he plays wolf. He gets on the bed and you slap near his face, and he does that, which is what wolves do when they attack something. They dart in and out. They dart in and out, and they take turns, and because one will get on the leg of this creature with gigantic horns, and which could kill a wolf, but it can't kill 7 or 9 wolves. So one will grab the leg and injure it, and then jump back before it can get hit by the horns, and then the other one will come in, and so wolves are scary throughout the history of literature, especially children's literature. But in this case, it's not that. It's not that the wolves are scary. It's that the wolves are scarce. And that's never said, really. But there's a very brief link made between this wild and barren and poverty-stricken region of Spain and its salvation, which is the ruinous economy that's coming to to deliver people from their misery, and that of course happens along with the demise of the wolves of the region. It's one sentence, which is neither here nor there. It's not tricky. You just, basically writing one sentence, you just have to, all you have to do is be a good writer who can make the person reading it interested. And then, like if I have to take a leak or something, I don't have to, well, I'll wait till I get to this paragraph. You just take a leak, come back, go back to within the sentence I'm in, which I have no choice about because there is only one sentence. But you don't think about that yet. The effect of that is to, well, I think it's the way that one of the best ways to keep the reader at the shank or the bar, and listening, because you do want to just keep going. You're thinking, oh, okay, these are pretty small pages. It's kind of a small book. Here's my pocket book, which is very small. It's not much bigger. It's a beautiful book, by the way, New Directions put out. The other side is Herman, the Game Warden, and the Death of a Craft. Two more stories about the wilderness, I suppose. Anyway, so the one sentence trick seems to be a good way to keep the person reading listening like a more attentive bartender to what this guy is saying and to what Krasznahorkai is writing. And it's really extraordinary. You're supposed to read Shatantango first. Everybody does, or should, because that was the first one that was, maybe is the first one he wrote, but definitely the first one in English. And I started it once and thought, wow, this is really good. It's funny, interesting, and almost a little I don't know, burlesque, but and we know a lot more is coming. And it's also interesting because the famous movie is so long, Bellatar's Shatantango. But then you got Shatantango itself is, I got it right here. Okay, it's like 300 some pages. It's not no, it's not even 300. It's 270 some pages. Bigger ones than this one, he demonstrated. And, but you have this feeling like, God, when can I tackle that giant one? Well, it's not the Bellatar movie, so you can tackle it anytime you're ready for a regular book-length piece of literature. Sorry about my... Chapter 6 is called The Work of the Spider 2, The Devil's Tit, Shatantango. Who can resist that? I think I'll be reading this much sooner than I thought, largely because I read The Last Wolf, which I highly, highly recommend, like almost everything I recommend, but I really highly, highly I recommend you get it soon so you don't get the next version. This is just a beautiful, simple, lovely, tactily marvelous hardcover, and it's a flip book. Good job, New Directions. Good job, Laszlo.